a quarter-final weekend for the Prem it was. Big games all round. Obviously, we got a cheeky bit of a live stream. We saw an absolute corker between Loughborough versus Hallam. Watch it back. But this week, we basically got a full house here. We got SJ, we got Connor, we got Dylan. We're going to go through, obviously, what has happened on Sunday, what happened yesterday, but then also semi-final Sunday in what arguably could be the biggest week of American football in the UK this year. Yeah, senior ball's cool and stuff, but meh.
Can we rattle off quickly? Is Jamie joining us? And if not, why?
I've sent Jamie a link.
I've sent Jamie give a message now.
I've sent Jamie a link, and he replied to me that he is in Tesco. So there you go. Huh? Well, don't think they'll find it.
That sounds like the Hull/Jamie equivalent of like replying to a text saying you can't come out today because you're washing your hair.
So I don't really because like Varsity's its own different beast, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, Jamie comes on this show and he talks he Jamies a lot, and then Hull lost 25-6 to the Lincoln Colonials. There you go. We've not put that in this. What?
I didn't realise they scored.
I think it was a defensive touchdown.
Yeah. What was it? I predicted the defensive touchdown. I had no faith in the offense last week.
Yeah, but you also picked Hull to win. So what's your point? I'm the only one that picked Lincoln to win, and like it's again, the Lincoln Hull varsity was just a game that happened that doesn't have any bearing on promotion and what's important. So thanks for derailing the introduction of the show to inform me about the Lincoln Hull varsity.
Pretty much all he does here is just derail us.
Yeah, so that's why. But he's not on right now, so he's infected your head. So let's go over the score. So in the Prem, there was only one game in the Prem, which we saw the STS Pride beat Durham 49-41. Definitely going to talk about that scoreline. In the Sport Tank live stream game, Loughborough beat Hallam 44-29. Leeds Griffins 34-24, setting up Loughborough versus Leeds on Saturday. For some reason, we'll get into that.
We'll get on to that.
Portsmouth defeats the Brunel Burners 25-6. I'm so sorry, SJ. And Bournemouth beat the Hertfordshire Hurricanes 35-6. Basically, it's just where do you want to start? Do you want to start at Durham? We might as well start at the Prem and sort of work our way down. So when I was sat there with the headset on, getting players' names wrong on a constant and almost clockwork basis to the point where I will apologise to number 8, Henry Rowland, and number 6, Niall Simpson. There you go. I've apologised. I couldn't see from up there. The numbers, I couldn't see the numbers. All right? I couldn't see the numbers. They weren't upset with it, but apparently other people were. So I'll apologise now. When they was coming in, the scores, and Durham took the lead at one point, I was very surprised. Is anyone else surprised? SJ, like, what are your thoughts? What were you thinking?
I'm not surprised. Well, I know everyone's going to go on, he's just saying that because it's close, but if you look at how Newcastle were against UE, bearing in mind that's the number 1 versus number 4 seed technically, Newcastle did well in that first quarter, and that to me made me think, okay, and I've seen Durham play before. Durham are a physical team; they're a big team, so I don't think it surprised me as much. But going to watch that game live must have been a scorcher. That's probably got to be one of the best games of the season.
Yeah, I think it probably is. I think it's an interesting one. I think given I've watched little bits of I don't know if the live stream's been taken down or whatever. I managed to watch little bits of it, and I think SGS got like up a bit. Kind of, they were up early, and then they kind of just went, "Oh, this will be a cakewalk," and they started like going heavy rotation. And started like going, right, well, that's fine. We've made it to next week. Because of pitching situations or whatever's happened, we now have to have a short week before we go into the semi-final. Let's try and rest as many players as we can, and I think it backfired.
I was surprised because I think I'm still off that hype from the Battle of the Bristol thing where UE were meant to be sort of UE and SGS, this huge battle force, and I don't think could ever see UE conceding 41 points to any team. I think it's made me realise just how far clear they are, and SGS are probably just at the same level as other teams. Because I'm gonna let everyone in on a secret here. What I'm really glad about is that every week Connor flips a coin for his picks, and then he'll come out with like the most mental thing. And every now and then they come through by magic, and he acts like he's the Messiah. He isn't. But if that had come through, that Durham pick.
Bloody hell, Dylan, if you had one beer today, you fucking hell.
I was seeing it's because I was looking at it was like, I had a look at the pick, it was like, of course, Connor, why has he gone for Durham? And then it was like this kept coming through and they're taking the lead, and I was like, oh no. I was waiting for the text.
The reason I went for Durham, and it was because it was that very reason. It was the fact that SGS just hadn't impressed down the road. You expect a team like that who has genuinely got aspirations of taking it to UE in that Southern Division and going on and winning the whole thing. They were really annoyed last year that they got put in Div 1. And kind of rightly so, it turns out, in terms of the fact that they're now one of the 4 best teams in the country. But I just had that feeling that Durham were a bit of an underrated side. And, it was a 1-score game.
So let's move on to, we now know who's going to be battling it out this weekend to see who goes into the Prem, who replaces Cardiff, who replaces Stirling. Let's start with the game that, I was there for, and it was my show, so let's go for that one. Loughborough versus Sheffield Hallam. What a game. What a game. I've never seen more passes thrown in a Brit Ball game in my life. It seems to be that Loughborough they have a gear that they just haven't accessed because of maybe the talent in their division. Speaking to some of the players, obviously they had quite a long layoff, very long layoff, and it seemed to be that that Warwick game they had last week, which ended 15-6, got some people a little bit worried, was simply just because they needed to shake off the rust, and the rust is off as far as I'm concerned. They put on the last big scores they were putting on was the Coventry Jets. I like the Coventry Jets. I want to see them get better, but they're not a powerhouse in the Midlands one at all. They put on 48 points, I believe, on Coventry. And then obviously they did concede points this game, but to put 44 points on a team like Sheffield Hallam is big. Yeah. What everyone else thoughts. Love.
Hallam have relied on their offense the entire year. You look at their results. It's been 51-30. They beat Sheffield 40-30. They've never had to rely on that defense up until they met, what is arguably an incredibly good, not even arguably, obviously an incredibly good offense in Loughborough, but they showed their vulnerability and in the score lines and in the scores they had, especially post Christmas. And I think it was a case of meeting a team that they just couldn't keep up with. You go down 21-0, even with that, then the subsequent run back touchdown from the kickoff, like that's still tricky.
I think that game was probably the 2 best offensive in Div 1. I think arguably the best 2 offenses in Div 1. And then if you've got those kind of offenses, what does it come down to? It comes down to who's got the better defense. And Loughborough's is solid. Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot for anyone to really actually beat that team. I think even if they get past this round and whoever goes up from the south, I can't see anyone stopping it, if I'm honest. Like they'll run it up you or they'll pass it. You try and shut one down, they'll just go the other way.
Yeah,
just pick really.
No,
it's really good. It's their offense is so balanced.
They looked a bit weak, and then when they had to do it, they came through and did it.
So they're moving on to the second game. Obviously, that one split. To be fair, both the North games were split down the middle. But this one, I was surprised that it was split down the middle between us. Leeds beating the NTU Renegades 35-14. to 24, punching their ticket to the semi-final and Premiership contention. You see, I started to believe in Nottingham Trent as this week went on, but realistically, I'm not surprised. However, looking back on it, I think it could be a bumpy road this Sunday going for Leeds against Loughborough. I think that will reflect in who I've picked. But I think it's going to be a bumpy road for Leeds.
I mean, from what I heard, NTU were running all over them. Like, I'm talking like 200 plus yards. They just couldn't punch it in at the end. And that's worrying. That's especially worrying, especially if a team, if Loughborough score first, could they just run the clock out? You don't know.
Loughborough have that kind of offense, though. They have that kind of offense where they get the ball first. They are so balanced, so, like from what I saw on that live stream, so balanced, so they can disguise things really well. As a defense coordinator, it must be a fucking nightmare. Looking at it, not knowing, because like teaching guys how to read that is hard enough, and then when they run it as well as they do, to have to do that is a nightmare. I rate Leeds to some degree. I think they had a fairly easy run of it. I'm not gonna mince my words. I think they had a fairly easy time. I'm not gonna go as far as calling them what some people have.
Jamie.
But I think, and they've had a very, very, very good year, especially off the back of having come back down. You know, that can, as we've seen from Swansea, that can sink teams. Dropping from Prem to Div 1 can ruin your reputation. And to be fair to Bo and the rest of the rest of her coaching staff, like, she's done a fucking phenomenal job and should be lauded for the fact that they are where they are. Having said that, I will be picking Loughborough.
Seems fair.
Can we talk about the kickoff? Talk about kickoff time. Can we talk about that? Because
yeah,
I was gonna get into that into the previews for next week. So give it about 10 minutes, but we will talk about that. Moving on to the south. Oh, the south, sweet Div 1 South. What a journey it's been, eh? What a journey it's been.
What a fun day out.
What a fun day out. Portsmouth 25, Brunel 6.
SJ. What happened?
If only there was someone who could discuss that game. If only.
Dylan,
I think it's just been whoever it must have just been a complete misread by whoever the analyst at Brunel is. I don't have much else to say on it.
I'll tell you what though, I know a couple of guys at Portsmouth, and they spoke to me about the field and stuff, and there's no grass on that field. The weather was great, so it didn't actually really impact that. But I think they were the better team on the day. Pretty simple as that. You know, if you don't execute, you're not going to win. And at this point in the season, you can't make mistakes. You cannot make mistakes. And you know, we had a couple of fumbles that we've never had before. To drop passes, like there was just a lot of points left out there, a lot of points. But it happens. You know, I've done it 5 times in a row now. But credit to them. You know, they executed better, and at the end of the day, that's how it goes. If you don't execute, you don't go. You don't win.
We probably should have been a better sign that they were cooking something up when they beat Holloway 34-14.
Mm.
I think we sort of just let slide and went, oh yeah, they're quite good. But most of us picked Brunel, but having poured through the film myself, I chose otherwise. But I think
you're on one today, mate. I'm telling you that now.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself.
What have you had to drink? Like you've like.
I'm still buzzing off yesterday. You know what? I've not had my chance yet. Dan Corbett, if you're watching this, your team are so bad at football and it's unbelievable. Retire now. Stop watching them while we're in the playoffs and then go back to it. I don't care.
No, you know what it is? It's also that Dylan has realised he's the only person in on this show who's still in the playoffs. Not for very long.
That helps. That does help.
But
thank God we got the game pushed back.
He hasn't even played in it yet, mate.
Yeah, to be fair, you haven't played a playoff game, so why don't you grow up?
We got Stud Basketball won the Sports Union Win of the Week. I think the 1-0 against York, tight as it gets, and we managed to pull it off yesterday. I think. Yeah, yesterday.
Oh.
I'm really proud of the boys. It's a hard-fought effort, but we did it. And here we are.
Right. Well, off whatever has just happened with Dylan there.
Can you mute him? Can you just mute him or pick him out?
Oh, yeah, I could do. I could do, but then who would make me look smart? Like that's why he's here. That's the only reason why he's here. So moving on to the final Division One game of yesterday, the Bournemouth Uni Bobcats continue the meteoric rise and have found themselves one game away from the Premiership as they defeat the Hertfordshire Hurricanes 35-6. Yeah,
I believe
there you go.
Yeah, looks like it.
Had to check. It's not much. Again, I shouldn't have said it at the start of the year that I think Bournemouth are just going to have a steady season this year and then they'll compete for Premiership next year. Shouldn't have said that, and I'm sick and tired of apologising for it. So I'm going to stop.
I think we've both been in it, but I will apologise now because I think I went into that week thinking Hearts are a really good team. I think it's going to be their toughest battle. I think Hearts might pip it. But Bournemouth have just proven people wrong week after week after week after week. And credit to them. That you can't say anything bad about them because all they've done is just prove everyone wrong. And
that's literally it, isn't it? It's like, sometimes we can, pick holes, say this, say that. With Bournemouth, unfortunately, you can't.
I think they were going to have a good season. I thought they were going to have a really solid season. Yeah. They have absolutely smashed all expectations, and credit to them.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say, really, is there? Other than congratulations and good luck to Portsmouth. I think it's going to be because they've got to try and find some way of stopping the Bournemouth juggernaut.
I don't know if I'd call Bournemouth a juggernaut. They're good.
By this point, they are though. By this point, they're going. They've taken everything. Everything anybody said. Every time they've been sort of, this will be the week. This will be the week. This will be the week. Still not come.
Unless it's Exeter away.
I was about to say it did come a little bit.
No, I think Steve's reign is over. Bit. There's your hot take for the week.
Well,
get
Jesus
that on the headlines.
What's wrong with you?
But,
stop. Right, can you just stop coming and try and make controversial takes to the show so you can become popular on social media, you little worm?
But I think Portsmouth. I'm going to back them again purely because I know that you probably won't. And so far, this theory's worked well for me.
You don't know me.
I was saying this earlier to SJ. I've found out I'm 458 miles away from Portsmouth. I'm going off pure feeling. I think they've got something cooking. They're on great form. They've won the last games by double-digit points. I think they could do it. Wow!
If only we were at the part of the show where we did picks. Isn't that mad? It's like you've not watched this. It's like you've not watched the show.
He'll have changed his mind in 10 minutes' time when we actually get to the picks.
No, 100%. With Bournemouth.
So, with that week out of the books, let's move on to semi-final Sunday, where let's just go down we're going to talk about them all. Leeds Beckett versus the UE Bullets, the SGS Pride versus the Gold. Loughborough versus Leeds. Loughborough at Leeds. We'll talk about that. Portsmouth versus Bournemouth, or at Bournemouth in Division 2. This game snuck under the radar. I think it's going to be really, really, really good. The Green versus the Liverpool Raptors. Some wafty squad from Scotland are going up against Leicester. Christ. 7-hour bus journey. What a fun name. Shut up. Brighton Panthers versus the Bath Killer Bees and the Reading Knights at the KCL Regents. Two undefeated Div 2 squads they're going out. So let's just go from the top. Leeds Beckett versus the Bullets. Leeds Beckett, this is it. Leeds Beckett are not one of these teams where you can sit there and go like, oh, they can't do it. They could.
Here's a
It's-
genuine go on, sorry, Ashley, go on.
Go on, no, go on.
I think Leeds have the players to beat UE. I don't think they have the scheme.
Ooh.
I don't think you can run Army Navy style triple option in this day and age and beat UE. I just don't think you can.
But if you've got Mariota there,
Shut up, Dylan.
They're still playing.
Hey.
They're still playing triple option. I think they've got the players. I think they've got the coaching staff. I don't think they've got the scheme.
I think this is the week that everyone's been waiting for, though, isn't it? This is the week everyone's been waiting for all year. Let's just see if anything's changed. And they scored on them last year, and this makes it sound like we're putting Leeds down a little bit. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. Leeds are a great team, but it's Huey, isn't it? Like,
I'm scarred from Bristol.
So it's going to get to a point where, like, that the ideology of, well, it's Huey, isn't it? Well, one day that won't work, and obviously, like, do I think the Bullets will win? Yes, but I'm not saying like where some games in the Prem South where it's like, oh yeah, Huey, they might as well just go out there play rock paper scissors. They've got a better chance. They might as well just go on Madden and play blindfolded, and they'll still have a better chance. But this one is very much like a It'll
be a good one.
Ooh.
I think it'll be a really, really good game.
We spent 30, 40 minutes talking about SGS UE, and then that got blown out. How far do Leeds have to go to get to Bristol, do we know? Roughly, if you had to throw a number on it.
4 hours. I don't think it's that
It's
far.
4 hours.
Yeah.
I think, but there's a chance given their SU that because it's an important game they send it down the night before. Like that Beckett have the money to do that if they want to. Not necessarily saying they will, but I don't think that's a factor. Not anymore. I think it's any given Sunday. It's it's playoff football. It doesn't really matter where you're going.
I might still be scarred from SGS Bristol then, because I really thought with that one that was going to be a good game, and UE have just proved themselves to be off in their own little world.
Yeah, to be fair, that is actually an understandable. That's your first good take of the day, Dylan. I won't lie. Now moving on to one that might not be as crispy, given the result of last week's game. SGS enter Nottingham to face the Gold. I think
this is much more of a kind of bellwether game for the state of the rest of Uniball. If SGS can run not close, then UE have it and they can ride off into the sunset.
Okay, yeah.
It's not the way you think it is. I think if SGS keep it, I think Notts will win. I think Notts will win comfortably. But if SGS can push him, keep it relatively close, then you know who you're picking in the final, basically. Like
I think, yeah. I mean, no disrespect to Pride, but they're going into the Lions' Den.
Yeah.
You set foot on that field in that cage. It is a cage. Let's be honest, it's a cage.
Yeah.
There's only one team coming out there with a win.
Yeah,
I don't think you can concede 41 points to Durham and then not lose to Nottingham. I'll be honest. I also don't think Nottingham will let them score 49 on them.
But I think, but I think the
that's a worse take than one of mine.
Okay, now.
Although now you've said it, Connor could be an old version of Doctor Who. Now that I think about it.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, SJ. I shouldn't have done it.
Doctor Who. Jesus Christ, Dylan.
Fuck's sake.
Older. But yeah. Oh, sorry. No, Nottingham will win.
My thing I was going to say is I think that Durham running SGS that close is a wake up call. That's what I'm going to go. I think it's going to be a wake up call, and I think it's going to be they're now going to be thinking, okay, getting to the final is not going to be easy, because at the point is say it every single playoffs, every single playoff team is there because they're good. I think one year Hearts went in as the number 4 seed in the South and they made the final. But,
yeah, it's 100% is any given Sunday, isn't it? Like it's you don't know what's going to happen. But that being said, we are talking about Nottingham here. We're talking about last year's losing finalists. We're talking about Coach Scott, who doesn't like losing at the best of times, but how much of his focus is on GB camp and the upcoming games against France and Italy. Like, he has to have half an eye on that. He just has to. Like, that's his situation. So where the other coaching staff step up and take them through. But a lot needs to go right for SGS to win. Nottingham just have to be Nottingham to win.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the neutral venue point at the Prem final? Do you think that'll come into it at all? And actually, should that game end up being closer than it would be on any other sort of day if Nottingham were going to Bristol?
It's also not neutral.
What do you mean?
It's meant to be neutral. That's my point. It's meant to be neutral, but it's at Nottingham who've been in it the last 2 years.
It's in Nottingham, and Nottingham have a home. Is at home for every little. Nottingham make the final in every single sport.
Yeah. Not sports. It's not sports like sports SU and stuff is that good that they host the final of a lot of things for a number of reasons. One being that their facilities are the best in the country. So it's kind of hard to argue with it going anywhere else, really.
No, I more just mean, do you think sort of that'll actually make the final more interesting than currently looking?
Oh, I think he's saying if Pride. Are you saying if Pride made the final?
No, I think he's saying if
Bullets
Knots. No, I think he's saying if it's a Knots Bullets final.
Okay.
Is it going to be closer because it's in Nottingham? Would it be far bigger if it was in like a neutral site in London, for example?
I don't think it makes a difference. I mean, it probably does a little bit, but I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think, it's not like the game's going to be kicking off so early that you've got to be up at 6:30.
Tell me about it.
It's annoying a minute. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any.
Yeah.
I don't think it changes. I don't think it changes a huge amount of it. Like the final. It's going to be. Both teams are going to be as up for it as anything.
So moving on to Division One, let's go to the north, where we have Loughborough going up to Leeds, but strangely, not on Sunday. Anyone, the floor is yours.
7 p.m. on a Saturday, right? Okay, fine. It happens.
They've at least moved it. They've at least not done what they tried to do to Edinburgh, and they've moved it to a Saturday rather than the Sunday that they tried against Edinburgh. Because that was the whole reason that Edinburgh couldn't make it down.
I think it's to do with from what I've heard from a few people. It's to do with the fact that there's a rugby tournament on Sunday. Fair enough. No problem. Happens. Shit happens. No one cares about Uniball other than the 4 of us here right now. But to put it on a Friday...
That's not true. I don't care.
That's a good one. I like that.
But it's Saturday on 7 p.m. on the same day as GB senior trials and GB under-19s trials. Now, I don't know if people are aware of this, but Loughborough have about 12 people at GB, and Leeds don't have any. That's not me cussing Leeds and saying you're shit. No, but it's a case of saying
it's just true.
You've now got a situation where you've got these young guys having to make a choice of either potentially representing their country or winning a national final. That is a shit position to put anyone in. Obviously, yes, you want to make an advantage out of it, but what was stopping them from switching it to Loughborough? It's not like they're miles away. It's about half an hour, 40 minutes up the road.
Just not even that. 2 miles away, we know there's a dedicated American football pitch. Leeds have 4 GB guys. Fair enough.
Fantastic.
That's
well
fair.
done.
Fair. we know Beckett are playing away at UWE, so they're not using it. Beckett is literally 2 miles away from the Griffins.
Do they not
facility.
share the same pitch? Is
No.
that potentially okay?
No, they don't. Their facilities are completely different.
I think at the end of the day, like both teams have to agree to it being on a Saturday at 7 p.m. because it originally gets locked in on Bucks on a Sunday, which means that the two teams have had to have a conversation about moving it to the Saturday. So both teams have obviously might not be entirely happy with it, but that's when it's happening. But I just don't know. Like I said, I don't know Leeds. I don't know Loughborough in that sense this year. So, but to me, it just seems like it would have been better for both teams involved, especially if Leeds have got 4 guys at GB. Surely it would be better for both teams to have it on Sunday at a place different to where they normally have it.
It seems off. I think, especially given the reports we've seen from what happened with the quarterfinal against Edinburgh, and the reports of them having to book a pitch at at 7 p.m. on a Sunday when Edinburgh is a 5-hour drive away and guys would be getting back at close to 3-4 in the morning. It just seems a bit off. There might be an innocent reason behind it. There might like you say, there's the rugby tournament. Fine, it just doesn't quite sit right. I don't think.
I just don't think it's fair to be making players on both teams make a decision between the two, because they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. Like if you go to GB, great, you get out, but your team might lose, and then you feel like shit. Or the vice versa, you go to your game, and then you get told, sorry, but we're not taking you to Italy or wherever the next games are because you weren't at camp. It's such a horrible position to be in.
Yeah, I would sort of like preface that with, I don't think that's entirely on the teams. I think Bucks have to step in somewhere there. And I would suggest that pushing the final to the week after to allow there to be no games this weekend because there is the GB camps, which some of the guys are going to be involved in, some of the top guys. Why would Bucks, but if Bucks had any nous about them, they would go, we don't want clashes with the national team. Let's be sensible here.
But then you move it away from being a Big Bucks Wednesday, which is the pinnacle of university sport. You'd be having the final, you'd be having the South and North finals 2 days, 2 nights before Big Bucks Wednesday/Tuesday. So if you did that, you'd have to push everything. There you go. I did wonder if it was same pitch.
Oh, fair enough.
Pitch. Yeah.
They didn't used to, so that's my fault.
You wouldn't move all of Big Bucks Wednesday back just because of American football having their GB camp that week. I think that's the thing. But I definitely think there is. Div 1 suffers the most from in terms of how many games they have to play with 0 breaks.
Yeah.
You potentially could be a team going in playoff final right now and they played 7 games in 7 weeks. That is rough. That is rough.
I think the scheduling for such a, like, I get wanting to be part of Big Bucks Wednesday. Of course I do. But actually, I think that hurts the sport slightly. In that it have it as a
it got 26,000 views on YouTube last year though. Like there were people actually at the game watching. There was an atmosphere. I think it kicked off Bucks Wednesday. Like at the end of the day, it was the big sort of, the fact that it kicked it off was huge as well, because it's like people actually looked at it. There's no other situation in which an American football game gets 26,000 views or more, whatever it's on now.
I think it's right being a Big Bucks Wednesday. I think all sports should be there. But
it's the only game on that Tuesday. Like, I'm not being funny. If you're down in Nottingham for the week because you're playing in it, like, what are you going to do? You're going to probably go and watch it. There's no other exposure that we actually get from that. Like, where else?
It's tough.
No, fair.
You can't really do anything other than there's no. It's a tough position to be in. I think either way, but
yeah, it's a hard one because of the way. And so for me, I think, well, I again, this is probably a discussion for a different time. But I'm not necessarily convinced the current way that playoffs work, especially in Div 1 and in the Prem, really work
My suggestion would be you have 6 teams from the north, 6 teams from the south.
Yeah.
1 and 2 go through on buys, and then that gives you that week in the middle.
Yeah, 100%.
That would be how I'd probably do it.
Yeah.
Still
gives the top guys incentive to go and try and get that buy, but realistically, with all power to them, you don't really need the 1v8 and the 2v7 in Div 1 and the Prem, really.
Somewhat on that point, do you think there should be more teams in Div 1 in general? Because without really going on it, but you look at that varsity game. Lincoln, who haven't even been a playoff team in Div 2 Midland.
Dylan.
A genuine point though, they beat a team who didn't get relegated from Div 1 this year.
Yeah, because it's varsity and it's varsity, it's any given Sunday, and there's a whole host of other shit going on. Like, do you know what? Yeah, fine. Congrats to Lincoln, they did well, but when you've got to play teams home and away and scout and do everything like week on week in Div 1, it's hard enough. Plus, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, you're only allowed to play 8 games in a regular season currently with Bucks because of the contact level. So you would then have to start working out either rivals or draws and stuff like that, and it just doesn't work.
You just want to keep talking about their varsity, don't you, Dylan?
No, I was just thinking about it, because genuinely, you can't tell me there's not an argument now for especially Nottingham Green and Aberdeen to be potentially Div 1 teams, and I'm sure there's teams in sort of Div 2 North as well. You look at UClan would probably do okay, maybe not Div 1 North. Div 1 North's pretty good, but Div 2 Midlands is stacked.
What would you do though? How would you do it? Would you put 4? Would you have 4 divisions in the south and 4 teams in each one, and they play 6 games? And maybe that is the solution.
That
maybe
could be, yeah. Well, I'm not being funny. How many teams are there in Div 2 North and Midlands right now? There's 9 in Div 2 North, and there's about 7 or 8 in Div 2 Midlands. I think genuinely, if they made a 4th division in Div 1 in both, and then you don't get the stupid playoff system where you end up whipping out a wrong amount of teams from a wrong amount of leagues, just go top 2 from each.
Someone give Tonya. Dylan's fixed it.
Dylan's fixed it.
Someone give me a
Dylan's
job.
done his job for him. Done it.
Yeah,
do you know the thing? Do you know the thing that really screws that up, Dylan? It's you guys. It's Scotland.
No,
it's genuinely
that works
Scotland.
Now. There's 4 teams. That's fine.
If Scotland get independence, are they no longer part of Bucks?
Yeah, of course they're not. Yeah, of course they're not.
If I've got to play SSS for the rest of my uni career, I'd cry.
Right, let's move on to the South now. In the South semi-finals, with the winner obviously going to the Prem, we have the Portsmouth Destroyers going to Bournemouth to face the Bobcats. What are we all thinking? I think it's an interesting one. Again, it's this bloody Division 1 stuff that you just can't. When it gets this deep into the playoffs, you can't. It might as well be a coin flip at this point.
We didn't even decide who we think would win Div 1 North.
No, because we're doing that later. That's the end. That's what bookends the show.
Okay, I forget. Sorry, I've only done this about 20 times.
Stop trying to derail.
Watch the show, SJ.
I've been here longer than you two, so shut up.
That is true. He has been longer. He has been.
That's fair. I'll tell you.
You know about the playoffs?
Div 2.
So,
No, not.
Dylan, until you step foot on that field as a Div 1 side, you are a fucking Div 2 side, and you will take it, and you will be happy about it.
Who knows? There might be a really big allegation, and Dylan isn't actually at Harriet Watt. He's an alumni.
No.
Oh, yeah. Damn you. Sorry, what?
Do you know?
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, Tab's going well.
I'm enjoying myself, mate. So don't worry about it.
Must be fun staying in Div 2.
Oh, that's God's division. That's uncalled for. I'm gonna miss it. Players,
I'm gonna
you've got
miss
an offensive.
it. I'm gonna
No, genuinely,
I'm gonna miss Div 2. Said no one ever.
an offensive
You're gonna
lineman
miss it.
relining the field in Aberdeen 5 minutes
You're
before
gonna
the
miss it so much.
allocated kickoff time was brilliant. There was
Mate,
an
if you're gonna miss it,
84-yard field in Aberdeen when we
refuse
turned up
promotion.
because that's how the SU had done it.
Refuse promotion. Refuse it.
If you love it, man, refuse it.
I don't miss it that much. So let's not take the mick here, boys.
So, Bournemouth versus Portsmouth. What are the thoughts? Obviously, Portsmouth put together a great run. Bournemouth, again, another team, great run. Bournemouth never been in the Prem. Portsmouth won a national title. You know, it's can Bournemouth pop their Premiership cherry? Is the question.
So here's the really cool storyline about this game is there's only ever been one team that has done the back-to-back from Div 2 to Prem. And that is the team Bournemouth are playing. So there's actually a lot at this, because if I'm Portsmouth, I want to keep that record. I don't want to lose that record. You know, they've already managed to keep the one of going 2 seasons unbeaten. But this is the big one. Do I think they'll do it? Find out on Sunday.
Fantastic.
I genuinely don't think they will, and this is to take nothing away from Portsmouth in the season they've had. They've done really, really well, and I think they will turn up and put on a show on Sunday. But I just can't see anybody beating Bournemouth, and that I might be completely wrong. And if I am, great, and congratulations to Bournemouth, and they will enjoy the Prem, fine. But I think it's Bournemouth.
I think Portsmouth developed. Seb said last year, I didn't think they sort of had a middle. They've had a middle season last year where they managed to somehow make playoffs, and then going into this year, progressed again. I think maybe Bournemouth have sort of thrown out a bit too far. I don't know, but I also picked against them a few weeks back, and it went badly for me. So, what do I know? Nothing.
You just fall to peer pressure. That's your fucking problem.
I don't know. I think I've picked against pretty much every coach who's been on this show on the week they've been on, and they've always ended up winning.
That is true. You have, yeah. It's impressive. It's impressive stuff. So with that, we're going to move on to.
They're so media trained, and then you pick against them, and their head's like, "Don't do it." I can't resist. I picked against SJ.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm trying to move on. Have you've had your first Red Bull today, haven't you, Dylan? You're fucking bounced all over the shop.
Really good mood. I've had a great couple of days.
So moving on to Division 2 in the north. As far as I'm concerned, this is the gem. This is what it's an underrated game that's happening. Nottingham Green versus Liverpool Raptors. Really good game.
Yeah.
You don't think so, Connor?
No, I think it is. No, I think it'll be a really, really interesting game.
It's 2 good quarterbacks. I have seen footage of both of them. It's an interesting little style of playing, because admittedly I saw Liverpool against York, whereas I saw Nottingham versus Leicester. And I don't think Nottingham were as far behind as from Leicester as they seemed. There are a few sort of things where it's like they had a touchdown callback, which early doors, which really could have helped them because they were down by either 14 or 16 early. I think I'm going to say I think if Liverpool are going to lose a game and not do the same thing 3 years in a row, I wouldn't be surprised for this one.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Green have been surprising people for a while, and they're just a very, very solid team. And it's going to be a tough game for Liverpool. It's sort of the cliche of the playoffs. This is the toughest game that they'll have this so far. Well, of course it is. It's all the good teams, isn't it?
It's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very cliche point, but it rings true here. Misread it.
completely. I think they underperformed against Aberdeen based on the result they got. Having seen footage now, I don't think they were. I don't think that scoreline at Aberdeen showed what they can do. But who knows? Like, you get to this point of the season, the chance has been lads called up to the first when they're going on their playoff run with injury and such. No, we don't know. Like, what happened there?
It's a hard one. I think it's a really, really difficult one to. I think it's a difficult one to pick. I think Notts are probably. I think Leicester have probably outperformed their record, and Notts probably haven't quite lived up to where they thought they would be. So I think Notts, especially, are out to kind of. Liverpool have done what they've tried to do and failed for the last 3 years. They've finally managed to get over that hurdle. They will be a Div 1 side next year. This is extra for them, whereas the last 2 years they've had that ammo of going, right, we screwed it up in the regular season, now we need to go and make a point.
I think it's more impressive to win it when you've not won the division, though, because it's like, why would so many lads' heads will drop like after losing that?
Not in Div 2, though. I think this is the thing. When you're in Div 2 and you've already got promotion, lots of guys go, what's the fucking point now? Well, let's just have a sing-song and have fun with it. Like, we had a load of guys just miss our playoff game with them last year because we'd already done it. Like, there was nothing riding on it.
I don't know, though, because when I'm going back to my first year, 2016, I was in Div 2 then, and no one took their foot off the gas when we got to the playoffs, because at the end of the day, that was your chance to win silverware. And that's
I'm not saying, yeah.
Well, I get what you mean, though.
Yeah, that's just my kind of reading the situation. I think Liverpool, like you say, if there was a game they're going to lose, it was going to be this one. And I think Notts are out to prove a point because they've not had the regular season that they wanted to have. They wanted to be that team to go up. They wanted to be that team to get promotion and be a Div 1 side, and it didn't work. And they've come up against Leicester, who I don't think anybody really expected to be as good as they were. And fair play to Leicester, they've done really, really well. But I think Notts are out to prove something.
So we're going to move on to maybe the worst game of the weekend that no one wants to talk about. Disgusting. No one cares. This is the Brock Purdy of the playoffs. Harriet Watt will make a treacherous 7-hour journey to Leicester to face the undefeated Longhorns, a battle of the undefeated division winners.
Are you going up the night before?
No.
Fuck that.
Because you tried to get them.
So it's a,
have they changed? Have they shifted the kickoff time for you?
It's a 4 a.m. Leave, and from what they've said, we're looking at a 2 a.m. re-entry into Edinburgh on Monday morning. So
that's just a 24-hour game day, basically.
Oh my God!
I'm wondering. We've got the lyric sheets loaded up. I don't know what time to start the 5,000 bottles of beer on the wall song, but that should be a few hours of entertainment.
I think the MVP from both of those, the MVP for Harriet Watt, if it isn't the fucking bus driver, I don't know who else it's going to be. Oh,
multiple driver, bless him. What a day! But you know what? It's just we're all having fun. It's a plucky little squad. I'm genuinely dead excited for it because we went off.
What time's kick off again?
I want to say 1 or 2:30. I'll double check on that. I think it's 2:30.
You're the quarterback, man. You don't know the time you're kicking off. Get in the game, man.
This stuff gets done for me.
Lindsay,
I've got my own secretary at this point.
Get in the game.
We just accidentally.
It's 1:30. It's one. Lindsay says it's 1:30.
1:30, yeah. There you go. I actually am that excited. I can't wait. It's a good group of lads to get that. The bus journey will be quite fun, and funner.
No, the bus journey. The bus journey will be fun for the first 4 hours.
Oh no! That'll be sleeping. I'm on about the last 4 hours. That'll be the fun bit.
It's rough. It's
Bless us.
it's rough. And again, you know what I'm going to say here, Dylan. So we might as well just
Why
save it
does
to the end
Bucks
and
not count
save
it?
you.
How did that
We
MU game mean nothing? Is what we're all thinking. I'm still not over it. I don't get the whole Bucks thing. I know Connor and Ashley explained it to me a million times, but oh my word, I remember when like seeing they'd lost to DMU, and I was like, oh wait, so we could get a clear route through here at home, and then it was like, no, that meant absolutely nothing. And obviously, like we put up a big performance against York, knowing that it would mean we'd have to go to Leicester, but here we are, and I'm feeling excited for it.
Well, as long as you're excited for it, doesn't. I mean, you know what I'm going to say. You know what my thoughts are going to be. You know what I imagine the thoughts are going to be of everyone else in the call. So, just
I do want to get the interview out of the way. If you're thinking it's the last time I'm in the place, question, Lynn, you like
his internet's
playing
going,
against
and
us
I'm
here?
not sad about it.
his internet's going. Let's move on to the Div 2 South, where you've got the Brighton Panthers going to Bath. And as far as I'm concerned, there's only one game in the whole of the playoffs this week where I don't really feel the need to sort of rack my head around entirely which way it's going to go, despite the fact that we had some of the Reading Knights on last week, or was it? I don't remember. And they told us that they think that Brighton could potentially do it. Again, congratulations for coming this far, Brighton. Nah, don't think. I think this is the game where, it's Bath. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So again, I do apologise, Brian, but like Bath's got a massive squad. They're all, very, very confident that they will be heading to the Div 2 South finals. I personally don't see their confidence being misplaced come this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fair.
Yeah.
I think I can't. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I believe in Brian. Come on.
You don't know. You're fine. You don't know. That's why. Why do you think I didn't throw to you? Because I know that you don't care. So
I was about to say I don't care.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't throw to you. And then Dylan is basically
Died.
1 pixel. He's 1 pixel at the minute. So we'll move on to the last game before the
Midland times.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's
Stop
really cool that you said something there because we didn't hear it. Let's move on to the last one. It's KCL versus Reading. Reading making the journey this time. The battle of the Southern winners versus the Southeast winners. For me, it's going to be a good game for me. As much as they're, division winners, both undefeated. For me personally, I think it's going to be a tough time or a very difficult time for KCL to come away with this particular victory and punch their ticket to the finals.
I think it's going to come down to who's got the better coaching staff. Because like KCL's coaching staff is very, very experienced. Their head coach is now the new head coach of the Exiles. It'll be a close game. I'm going to be there, by the way. If anyone wants to say hello or shout abuse at me. But I don't know.
It's hard to pick, genuinely. I think it's hard to, if you look through the fixtures, it's hard to see any patterns either. Both of them have had undefeated regular seasons. Both of the winning margins have been relatively similar. I think you probably say that Reading's offense is probably better than KCL's, but on the flip side, KCL's defense looks better.
Actually, I'm gonna pick fucking KCL. Do you know why? Because my fucking foot is 5 different colours still,
and that's thanks to Reading.
Thanks to Reading. I had a call from the doctor today. I might have ligament damage, so fuck Reading. Fuck them.
Oh, dude.
Rob Smith is still shit, and I hate him, and I don't like him.
love that.
And your unis, Reading, they're not very nice. How about that? How about that? Do you like that one? Reading, huh? Do ya? Huh? No, you don't. Or maybe you do, and I'll just be pinned up on the board. Oh,
Yeah.
Basically, Reddit, you want to know the truth? I'm still depressed. There you go. That's the reason.
Just the two of us now, Tabs, because I heard Esther's back. Dylan died, and
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Dylan.
Esther.
So obviously, that is all the previews done for semi-final.
Wait, can I say one more thing on that last game? The other thing is there's varsities at stake, because whoever wins that game probably isn't going to want to play their varsity.
Yeah, probably true.
Without saying who I want to win, if you know me, you know who I want to win.
Yes. Yeah.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
and I imagine they've got loads of. Actually, no, because that'll give it away. So let's. I was going to make a point there, but I won't, because that will give it away. So with that, we're going to move on to the picks, the last part of the show. Wrap it all up in an hour if we can get through those quickly. Looks like Dylan won't be giving his picks live.
Oh,
he might.
Hey!
Is he? No,
he's
that's a
not.
still image. That's a still image.
He needs to go.
That's still.
He's gone to get on the coach for the game on Sunday.
Sorry, yeah, he's leaving tonight.
He started his walk, and he'll get there late.
Yeah, bye. There
Sure,
you
you
go.
get wearing Liverpool merch. What a melt!
It's strange because hold on.
Fucking
I'm back. Don't you worry.
Okay, fine. We could do all of our beautiful picks.
Yay.
Let's start with the Prem. Unless Dylan's got any thoughts on KCL versus Reading. Brilliant, you don't. So Yui versus Leeds Beckett.
Yuri.
Yui. Gold versus SGS.
Gold.
God, oh, this is fucking shit, innit? This is shit until you get to the final. Prem.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Loughborough versus Leeds.
Loughborough.
Leeds.
Fuck off, Connor.
I just have to do it. I don't necessarily back myself on it, but
I think we all split all of these games, so neither team can be like fuck Sport Tank.
It'll happen anyway. You know what?
It'll still happen.
Based on the 7 p.m. kickoff and what SJ is saying about the GB players, I'm going to go with Leeds as well. Let's see what happens.
Get off my Dylan. Right, okay, I'm switching back to Loughborough then. I'm not.
Oh.
Dylan's jumping on the
It's the
bandwagon,
first week
I'm
that
off
I've decided to write them down so I can get the graphic out nice and early, and you're fucking swapping. Fuck's sake!
I think SGS might do it.
You're a melt.
Pigs.
You're a melt.
Right. I stick with Leeds.
Right. You're fucking. I fucking hate this fucking show.
Portsmouth.
Fuck. Oh, he's messed it. Loughborough.
Okay.
Fair.
Bournemouth versus Portsmouth.
Bournemouth.
Portsmouth.
I don't want to pick. Bournemouth.
Well, no, it's easy.
Then
Do you reckon
Liverpool-
you would have beaten Bournemouth?
What?
Do you reckon you'd have beaten Bournemouth?
What? The conversation that I had in my car on the way back is of no concern to you, young man.
Liverpool versus Nottingham.
The dinosaurs.
This is the hardest one to pick.
Yeah.
See, my think is Raptors have had a bit of time off, haven't they? They've had quite a bit of time off.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say Raptors.
Oh, Aberdeen scored more points against Nottingham than any other team this season. Just throwing that out there.
That's because first round of the playoffs, so everyone's there because they're good. That's my way of thinking.
I think I'm going to go Green.
Fine. Beautiful. And then Harriet Watt.
You need to say who you're picking because otherwise teams don't get sound bites if you betting against them.
Oh, for the game happening this Sunday between the Nottingham Green and the Liverpool Raptors, I will be selecting the Liverpool Raptors. The Harriet Watt Wolverines versus the Leicester Longhorns, and you will not believe how quickly the words Leicester Longhorns will leave my lips. Leicester Longhorns.
Sorry, Dylan. Not
The
really
bus
all
driver.
that sorry.
You know what? Just
Leicester.
because one of my mates is at Leicester, fucking Harriet Watt. I'm with you, Dylan. Don't shit the bed. It's all on you if you lose. Just so you know that.
Bath Killer Bees versus Brighton Panthers. Bath. Yeah. Brighton. Yeah. Brilliant. And lastly, before we end the show and say goodbye, good night, and all the rest, Reading versus KCL. Reading.
Yeah.
Reading.
Bloody hell, that's
Yes.
a consensus that they won't like. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And we will see you next week where we will be discussing all the semi-finals, what has happened, and then, sort of maybe have like a tiny little week off, maybe. We don't know. There's a week break where we'll have nothing to talk about.
I think Liverpool as a last thought are going to win 7-0, but that's enough about the footy. And we'll leave it there. Before I get kicked off, right. It's been lovely. I might not see you next week. Goodbye.
Right. Well, you don't do the exit for the shows, number one. So we're gonna keep going for what I normally say.
Just kick him. Just get him punted. There
Right. Okay. So if you are playing this week, good luck. Stay in good health. If you are watching at home, make sure you have, keep yourself warm. It's looking pretty cold outside. Maybe we'll see the frost monster appear again. No one wants any of that, do they? But who knows? We hopefully will be joining you on Sunday with a live stream. We will have, a bit more notice. We'll be able to tell you who it is later on in the week when things are smoothed out. But once again, we will see you here 8 o'clock next week to discuss the semi-finals, and hopefully some of these predictions are right and we all don't look like idiots. But goodbye from me, goodbye from SJ, goodbye from Connor, and Dylan told me to tell all of you that he thinks you're ugly. Mad. All right. Goodbye. Hopefully my computer will let me end the show this week on a timely manner. Hopefully, anyway.